Jeff, thank you so much for coming on board the Transatlantic. You don't need any introduction. People recognize you. You are like a true legend for many creative in the United States, on this planet advertising, and back home in Italy. So I'm very thankful to have you here as a guest. True thankful. Listen, so
yeah, hey, my mother was born in Italy. I don't know if I tell you this, but she was born in Friuli. I just want you to know.
oh, that is great. I didn't know that.
She's full-blooded. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, look, we are here because we want to cross your ocean. At Transatlantic, we believe that to really get to know someone, you need to cross their waters. You need to cross their ocean. So what I'm going to happen here is like, I'm going to ask you like 7 questions, like the 7 C's. And hopefully we're going to get to know a side of you that is unknown. There's so much information about you. Last night I was Google you and like so many results came up, but I really want to give people back home in the United States a chance to know a part of you that is almost hidden. Here's the first question. Ship at night change the time every time they cross a time zone. So pretty much they reset every night. Transatlantic ship cross a time zone and they reset every night. This is not just like a time matter, a time issue. Is truly like welcoming a new day, going from the darkness of the night to the light of the day. They completely reset. So we are human ships that travel through the waters. My question for you is like, how does Jeff Goodby reset?
To reset, like the time zone comes back and makes you new. Yeah. Oh man, there are so many ways you can reset. I think one of the things you have to do is break down all of those habits that you have of doing things exactly the same way, you know? So I try not to do things the same way, because we all get up in the morning, we make coffee the same way. We do this, we sit in the same chair, we go do this. I try my best to do something a little different, you know, like do it with my left hand instead of my right hand, you know, do things backwards, change it around so that, I mean, you can just change the events around of your day and it freshens your head a little bit. Plus you see things that are different out in the world. And, you know, what we do all the time is like see stuff and recombine it, you know, and that's what it's all about. So in many ways, that you need that new material. You need to put yourself in new places.
I love that. I love like doing things differently. You know, like it's strange because we are like, we crave routine, but at the same time, routine can kill you. So actually just slightly change like actions is something really good. I personally do all the time. So thanks. I'm gonna quote here a New Yorker author, and I know that you are a writer, a wonderful writer. And we're gonna talk later, but there is this like author from the New Yorker that has an interesting quote. So I'm gonna read for you. Just a few hundred years ago, it was unimaginably terrifying to venture into the Atlantic. Now you can make it like from one side to the other in just a few hours, easy as a pie. But when you are crossing in a boat, it is majestic. It is given to all sorts of caprices of wind, storm, and weather, but it's terribly dangerous. Yet, it's beautifully dangerous. Now, think in advertising terms. We have all the technology we want, but most often we play safe. Technology gives you so much, but take away a little bit of age of you. Take away the unexpected. A young creative starting advertising, what can he do to keep it like dangerous beautiful?
Well, I love the idea of dangerous beautiful. I mean, I use the term vandalism all the time to describe the feeling that you want to have. You want to have the feeling that you get, you know, when you're breaking pumpkins on people's doorsteps or, you know, throwing an egg at somebody's house. You know, you're not hurting anybody, but you're creating a little bit of vandalism. And you look forward to that. It's fun. It's in the night. You know, you're doing something naughty at night And I said, advertising is like that. It's loud and in your face, and it's still there the next day, you know, and that's what great vandalism is. And you should have, when you're coming out with a piece of advertising, you should be excited about it coming out. It doesn't matter what the medium is. You should be excited about when this thing hits and people see it, it's just going to mess them up. You know, that's the feeling you want.
Love the vandalism. You know, like you're talking to someone that grew up in the late 80s in Italy, where like I got the tail of the punk movement. And so like, you know.
Big, it's big for me too. Punk movement was perfect.
Okay, so here's another question. The third question for you. At night, sailors use stars to navigate, right? Now, the day you met Rich, something happened, the stars aligned. So here's the way I see it. You are the sky and Rich is the earth, or vice versa. Rich is the earth and you are the sky. Anyway, you give birth to our horizon that has become like a reference point for many, many people around the world. Now, even yourself, a legend, needs stars to navigate. How does Jeff Goodby in 2020 navigate? What stars are you looking at?
Well, I think it's easy to, in advertising, it's easy to just stay in advertising and look at advertising to see what happens next. And I think you have to look beyond that. You know, you have to read books. You have to be curious about the world. You have to read the news. You have to watch films. You have to go to museums and find new things, because what you're really doing is recombining all those experiences to be something new. And the internet has a way of making us look at the same stuff. All of us look at the same things at the same time every day. Something gets famous, we all see it. Something gets popular, we all see it. And to me, that is actually narrowing our creativity. You know, it narrows the things that we can use, the palette that we use to make things, because we're seeing the same stuff, liking the same stuff. I don't want to be like you. I want to be different from you, you know? So I have to start purposefully making my experience different to have that happen.
Love the answer. Fourth question. I love traversing your ocean, man. It's like I knew that it was a great ocean, and so that's why I'm so happy and excited to have you here. 20 years ago, talking about crazy Italians. 20 years ago, two Italians crossed the Atlantic using like a floating cars.
That was so funny. You sent me that question.
Yeah, right?
Did they really do that?
They did. I'm going to send you the link after this. I'm going to send you a link because you're going to see the contraption. It's fucking crazy, right? What they built. But there is a very sad story behind when someone asked them, why did you guys do that? They told, our father wanted always to cross the Atlantic in a way that was unconventional. Our father always wanted to break the rules. So we did that for him because we wanted to pay backwards, like to what he gave him. The guy, their father, was dying of cancer. As a matter of fact, along the way, they received the news that their dad passed away. So when they land in Martinique, I think, they celebrate. Now, this is like one great example of how you break the rules to achieve something so big and inspirational. I know that you broke so many rules. You had to get to where you are right now. But when was the last time that you broke a rule to get something?
To get something done?
Yeah.
Let me think. I forgot this question. I forgot this question. When was the last time? So the last time I did it.
Yeah,
This happens to me every day in many ways. You know, people are coming to me. I'm very blessed. I have people come to me asking me to break rules all the time. So it's pretty much, I just have to go, yes, let's do that. And then it happens, you know. I'm very lucky like that. But I'll tell you, I don't know if it's breaking the rules, but one of the things that we did is this past year we did a thing in the Super Bowl that it was a nice spot. It was it had Lil Nas X in it dancing for Doritos, and but that was not enough. These guys came to me and they said, we have this app that you can put on your phone and it will make you dance like this guy in the commercial, and it's called Sway. And so we actually tried the thing out, and it made me, and I cannot dance very well at all. It made me dance like the guy in the commercial, and it was absolutely amazing. And I said, you have to get your hands on this thing, and we have to use it at the same time as this spot comes out. And so we actually went out of our way. We found these guys that had made this thing, and we incorporated it in the whole idea. And I think that, was it breaking a rule? I don't think it was breaking a rule, but it became bigger than the commercial itself. It was so much fun. I mean, I still have it on my phone.
Yeah, I remember actually.
It's hilarious.
Everything that you guys did. Yeah.
It's a great way to deal with
kids.
Kids love it.
Fifth question, man. We are almost done. 1920. I don't know if you know this fact.
I like your questions, man.
Thank you. I don't know if you know this fact, but in 1920, cruise ship, because of the immigration law that go harder, they start losing customers. And so they couldn't make the money that they wanted to make. So what they did, ownership, they start selling customers on the pleasure of transatlantic travels. And that's when the cruise ship itself, the whole idea of like having fun crossing the transatlantic began. Now, going back to the metaphor, the analogy that we are human ships, as a creative, we constantly have to reinvent ourselves. Constantly. I always say to my, when I mentor students, like every day speech day, right? But my question for you is like, if someone start in advertising right now, and I know you did something very unconventional, you wrote a resume in the form of an encyclopedia. What kind of advice can you give to a young kid? How can he break through advertising right now?
Well, you know what? That's a really good example, and it's a great question, because people come in and all the time they have the same thing. I've got a website, I've got a resume, I went to advertising school, and I tell them, you have to make yourself different from everybody else. I see so many people, so many people come in here that you have to find a different way to approach the people that you want to talk to. And one way that somebody gave me is, don't use a resume anymore. Write an autobiography, like a half-page long, that makes you seem like a good person to work with. You're funny, you make fun of yourself, you have a good time. And that's what I did. I made an encyclopedia entry about me. This is very interactive, really early on, actually. The encyclopedia entry it was true, like up to the day that I went to this interview. So it would be like, I grew up in Providence, Rhode Island. I went to college. I live in this place. And then it would say, his big break came when he went to, and I'd fill in that blank every time to, J. Walter Thompson. And then after that, the thing was totally made up, and it was outlandish, and the rest of my life went perfectly, and was ridiculous. It became it made advertising like into the biggest thing, saves the world and everything.
That is awesome. And, actually, I didn't know about your way of breaking through industry. I have to be honest. I read down Wikipedia a couple of nights ago. I also read on Wikipedia something that was intimidating, that you actually graduated from Harvard.
Yeah.
And that made me really like, oh shit, this guy is a big brain. I can't do that. I remember I told my wife, I was like, I'm not going to interview someone that graduated from Harvard.
No. I accessed a part of me that is not that anymore. No, but like somebody sent me a cartoon every day. They'd never been in advertising. They just wanted to be in advertising. Every day they would send me a new cartoon, and they were funny, you know, like after 2 weeks of that, and they were pretty good. I had to see this guy. So I had him come in and I talked to him. He became a very successful writer at my place. Now he's like a fine artist.
That's awesome.
But, you know, to find a very unexpected way to approach people, you know, and use that, you know, it's magical to get something. Put yourself in the place of the creative director. What would you like to have somebody send you?
Right.
It's got to be something welcome. It's got to be different.
I'm going to have 6 questions for you. Okay. This is a little bit like different as a question. I want to take you back to the days of Homer and the Odysseus.
The days of what?
Homer and Odysseus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my pronunciation. Like people always like, you know, laugh at me, whatever. Like
No, it's good.
Anyway, so the question is this. In the story of Odysseus, when he's crossing like the water, he's actually had to overcome the sirens. The sirens are like this beautiful like ocean figure that tempt him. And they sing this beautiful melody. But he knows that if he resists, he can make it through. If he doesn't resist, he's gonna be kidnapped by the sirens and eventually is gonna die. Now, what I believe is this, that every creative, and I know that happened to you, it must have happened to you, at one point encountered the sirens, meaning like as being like tempted to quit advertising and steer toward a different path. It happens to me every other day. Believe it or not.
I was going to say, so this morning, yeah.
So when was the last time that you wanted to do something like this, that you wanted to quit advertising and do something different?
Well, you know, if I just did advertising, I'd go crazy, man. I mean, I do a lot of things besides advertising. You know, I play music, I paint. I'm writing a little opera. That's with awesome. A friend of mine, you know, and you know, I'm always doing something besides this because I think that you need to have many other things in your life. You have to enjoy many other things, you know. Enjoy your dog, enjoy your children, enjoy cooking, enjoy the things that you have to do that are like that are very artistic in many ways, you know. To enjoy something like that, like eating is a wonderful thing. I mean, you know, Italian. Come on.
you know, it's funny. It's funny because when I came to America 10 years ago, came to Chai Day, Los Angeles, and I remember like Chai Day as a cafeteria. And one of the things that puzzled me the most, it was like everybody was eating at their desk. And I couldn't figure it out how the heck these people that were eating at their desk and they wouldn't like, you know, take a proper break and have lunch at the table and then come back to work. And to this day, I always try to do that because, you know, it was.
I'm glad you say that because I agree. So, you know, right now we can't do it because I'm not working in the city, but I always made it a point of going out to lunch, having lunch. I would get people that I wanted to talk to and take them to lunch with me and spend some time together. And it would be something different from what I was doing in the morning and in the afternoon. Rich Silverstein and I would go to lunch every Monday together. We'd sit down. We went to a French restaurant where there was paper tablecloth, and we would write on the tablecloth and draw things and make all these decisions and stuff. And then we would rip the tablecloth, take it with us back to the office to remember what we talked about.
Oh man, this is like priceless. This is priceless.
Yeah. We would make all of these decisions. You know, we would write down the names of people we wanted to promote and people we wanted to like fire. And then we would go back to the office. We wouldn't do any of this stuff, but we would make a big list. Right. Never do any of it.
Beautiful. Listen, last question. We're almost there. Okay, so what we like to ask to every guest that we have on board the Transatlantic is this. if there was a wind that blow your sail, how would you call it? What would the name be?
I think it would be oblivion, because it would be like fear of being boring, you know, fear of not doing anything people remembered, fear of not doing anything that people cared about, you know, and I have that fear, and that's a helpful fear to have, you know, to want to make things that people care about, because I think it's easy, especially in business, it's easy to fall into just making things and getting by and getting paid. You get
Right.
paid, you get paid for things that aren't very interesting, just as much money as for making things that are good. You
Yeah.
should make things that are good, you know?
Hey, look, man, it was a pleasure to cross your ocean, and I hope that people back home in Italy have a little understanding of who you are, and like they can see that you are so down to earth, even though you are recipient of like all my like Hall of Fame, like, you know, everything, and like, and I guess like also I had to thank you because like, you know, this was a very special episode for me, and I grew up like looking up at you and Rich and like GOODBY and like, you know, and I mean, thank you so
Thank you.
much, man.
That's sweet. Yeah, you were fun to talk to. That makes it very easy, you know?
Thank you, thank you.